farmer. Mountain back to Atlantic Ocean. Upon me hills to full country. To educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah. Focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of OnPoint. It is Sunday. It is 4 o'clock on the East Coast and 3 o'clock Central Time. If you are in Houston or you are somewhere down south, if you're in Minnesota, it is 3 p.m. If you are in London, I believe it is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Dr. Booty, what time is it in London?
Okay, he's having a problem.
Okay, he's having problems.
I think it's 6 o'clock there.
That's correct. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in Liberia, as usual, you are 4 hours ahead of us. It is 8 p.m. in Liberia. If you are in Florida, Miami, like we are in the Miami market, it is 4 o'clock. And you are in the home of Lyndon B. Johnson. That's Houston. We got problem in Houston. It is hot. Mr. Towell, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Mr. Gibman, for having me, and I look forward to being part of this discussion today. Always appreciate coming on.
Excellent. Mr. Victor Nangwe, you might be from the nation's first capital, Philadelphia. If I'm not lying, the way you are calling from, you're traveling, but wherever you are, your home base is Philadelphia. How is the state, the Keystone State, the city of brotherly love in particular?
Hey, it's great to be here. Happy Palm Sunday to you guys. I'm in Jersey, but yes, I do frequent Philadelphia. My son works over there. Philly is okay. If you go by what's on the news, you might not want to step foot in Philadelphia, but hey, Philly is okay. It's alive.
Great.
There is a new, I think the first Black female mayor, and she's trying to make her mark, Ms. Sherelle Parker.
Beautiful. You guys need to clean up North Philly and Trenton and that whole area. We got to do something over there. Dr. Booty, what time is it in London? I think it's 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 p.m. there.
8 o'clock. 4 minutes past 8 at the moment. Yes.
Great. How you doing there, Doc? How's the royal family doing? I know you're from the royal family there.
Well, I'm not a fan of the royal family, but unfortunately, I think at the moment, 2 members of the family, the King and the Princess of Wales, have both been diagnosed with cancer. So it's not a very good time for the family. So we're all praying that they'll be okay. But I'm not a big fan.
Great. Mr. Elvis Morris, how is the state of 10,000 lakes?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible right now. We're having a massive snowstorm outside right now. That's going to last all the way into Monday. I think this is only our third snowstorm for the entire year, which is very, very rare in Minnesota. So we're having I think El Nino year, which is hotter than usual, is drier than usual. But we don't like the snow. We like our dry weather, but it's snowing outside as I'm looking out the window right now. So it's not good. But overall, I'm feeling good. I think Liberia is the topic of discussion today, so I'm excited for it.
Well, I don't know anything about snow because I'm in Miami.
Mr. Gabriel, you live in New York, you live in New Jersey, you know about snow. Don't tell us you don't
I
know
don't
about
know
snow.
anything about snow. I don't know anything about cold. I'm in Little Liberia.
But you know about hurricane, you know about snake, you know about alligator. Then. So
don't worry
we
about it.
rather have our snow than
We can
hurricane.
we
All
can
right.
forecast hurricane 10 years in advance. I don't know
So
about snow and
when
all of
you
that. The
when you
last time we had a
when you,
major hurricane
when
was
you
2006, 2007. Yeah, Mr. Nambe, go ahead.
when you two Sedition say Miami, please draw a distinction. You don't mean Miami, Liberia.
Either one of those Miami is hot, so it's all right. It's a win-win.
No,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Joseph Baga helping the team rehab also in the Miami. Yo, we are there, but Joseph Baga doing it on to doing renovation. So
that's
it's
correct.
gonna be Miami in rehab.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are up for an exciting show. We will talk about the derivation and when folks talk about the war crime court, we are going to look at the historic city of what a war crime court will look like. We're going to touch on this a little bit because there's going to be a whole show. If we agree, maybe next Sunday, we are going to be looking at the letter from Tom Wowoyi to Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, 2005, when he quoted her, level Monrovia, and we will rebuild it. That's exactly what he said. That was our instruction. That was our command. And that's what we intended to do. So if you want to talk about war crime court, let's talk about it holistically. We're going to be looking at that. In the meantime, there was a letter that was an article that was sent to me yesterday by an astute professor at the University of Florida. It is devastating. The letter says here that Liberia, 5 major counties in Liberia have come up with a resolution to stop public defecation. After 200 years of existence, this is embarrassing. Liberians in the nation's capital, Montserrat or Monrovia, people are defecating openly in the public. We need to talk about that. Then the main topics for today we will discuss. Honorable Yaka Koluba accuses President Joseph Boakai of corruption. And we have the tape. We're going to cue that. Former Finance Minister David Fahad, can you imagine a man who is almost 100 years old? David Fahad said he vowed to slaughter those who oppose war and economic crime court. Liberia got problem. Number 3, the top UP propagandist, D-Flow, the guy from, I think, Minnesota that can hardly speak English very well. Everything has to end and begin with S. Is now teaming up with Fagon, 4 associate degrees at LBS. What does this mean for the public broadcasting system in Liberia? Is this the our best and brightest that Joseph Boakai promised? That the CDC government were ignoramus, there were people who were not educated, who were going to bring the best of our best, the best and the brilliant. We are seeing people with 4 associate degrees, no managerial experience.
No, 4 associate, you got 1 PhD, Mr. Gamer, and
Okay, I see. We're gonna make that comparison. And we have a man who says his only qualification is that he's from the Lawman tribe, and Joseph Boakai was his uncle, and everything begin with an S and end with an S. His name is D-Flow. He is now going to be the deputy managing director, along with 4 associate degrees. Mr. Fagon. Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. This is going to be a doozer. It's going to be an open dossier. I'm looking at a man from the royal family here. Dr. Booty is ready to delve into this. I like a historic city. I love his nation. I love what he does. the way he analyzes things. We are talking about Mr. Tower here, who says it as it is. A few months ago, he told us Joseph Walker is bringing nothing to this table. What you're going to see is going to be the same thing. And then we see Honorable Victor Namwe, a true politician, a guy who's been around for a long time, who knows about the struggle. Let's get started. Share the show with us. Get involved through the comment section. You can call. Get involved. This is it. Mr. Namwe, let me start with you. Let's start with the Yeke Koluba thing. I think we have all seen the tip. Yeke Koluba said there is a concerted effort by this new government. While they are cutting, they say they are cutting from other places. The money being cut is being siphoned and storage under the Department of State for Presidential Affairs, through which they are bribing folks. He got his voucher of $4,500. He took the camera crew to the Lebanese gentleman who should be the recipient, who won the contract. He made sure he asked him, is this you? Is this your signature? The gentleman said yes. And he walked out. Victor Namwe, you seen that? What do you make of this story?
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really left confused by this story. I looked at the voucher. I couldn't read it until I think it was Mr. Morris Elvis who called in at once during one of the shows to inform us that this money is supposed to be given out to them as a loan that they will be paying back. I don't understand that. I don't understand the purpose for this money if it was giving for this purpose. But it sounds to me like this government, just like all other governments before it, is beginning to prepare itself for 2029. And it looks like they are going to curry favor in whichever way they can. So it looks to me like it is an attempt to begin to recruit people under the umbrella for the UP for 2029. I don't have any details. I don't have any further details on this. I am trying to gather as much as I can, but I don't understand it. If it is a loan, why did they feel compelled to extend a loan to the legislators? I mean, if they didn't express any desire for it, why would they give them a loan?
I can explain it when I get the chance. I can explain.
Please do. I will yield to you.
Yeah, yeah. What's going on here is simple. Anybody with two brain cells can see. Before Joseph Boyka became president, you heard that there was some Lebanese doing work for him on his house and those things. This is the quid pro quo. What's going on is this guy has a furniture store called J Mart. And a lot of these new representatives coming in, some of them may not, have the money on hand right away to maybe furnish their homes and things like that. So what this guy is doing in connivance with the government is to say, we'll give you coupons. Go to the legislators, give it to them, encourage them to come buy furniture. If they don't have the money up front, let them buy the furniture and we'll leverage it against their salary because they're going to get paid for the next 6 years or the next 9 years. So get them the coupon up front, 4,500 USD. Come to the store, pick the furniture that you want. You don't have to pay for it, but we'll be taking it from your salary every month. It's like going to a rent a center where you buy a TV, you renting there, you pay for it small. That's pretty much what this is. And this is like an insider deal that this Lebanese man had with the government, especially the office of the president and the office of presidential affairs, that he would do this along with Konita Tokbakura. This is the same woman who put that name on the list that was not approved by Joseph Boyka. It had to be removed. She's doing a lot of backdoor dealing. So this is exactly what it is. When you read it on the coupon, it says that this money will be, paid from your salary. So Yeke Koluba was wrong by saying that the government was trying to bribe him and give him free money that he didn't work for. But in reality, it was a business transaction between his government and that Lebanese businessman to give these legislators free, not free, but an upfront voucher for almost $5,000 to buy furniture from his store. It's only useful in his store. It's like getting a gift card for Target. You can only use it at Target. So this is what it was. So it's just that simple.
Great. Mr. Tao, this is a crime. According to Mr. Honorable Yeke Koluba, First of all, you cannot give me a loan that I didn't apply for. Okay. And second, he says the gentleman that court that is in charge of this loan is not for everyone. It is restricted to a block. That's block of supporters that supported this administration. That block, they are trying to solidify for future strike against the Speaker of the House. They are still going after him. Because if this was across the board, you will say it's $4,500 multiplied by 100, I think the 103 total in the House and the Senate. But instead, it is limited to a block of supporters of the Unity Party. Mr. Taiwo, I find it hard to believe that this is a loan. I want to believe Honorable Yeke Koluba when he said the money will come from the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. There's no way you can tell me against my will that you're going to give me loan and then do like back when you call LPA, you like a layaway plan. You take it from my pay unbeknownst to me. I find that very hard to believe, Mr. Taiwo.
Okay. So in the first place, let me understand something. Is furniture for what? For their offices or for their homes? Mr. Elvis?
It's a furniture store. So if you go in a furniture store, you want to buy
the furniture is what? Is to furnish the offices of the congressmen or their home.
I'm guessing any kind of furniture, because you're buying it. People furnish their offices privately, and it can also furnish their home. So it's not regulated to either just the home or the office.
So look at here. There is no other way we can explain this. This is abject corruption, right? It's since this Waka government came to power, you've been seeing it. Everything that they put their hand is just upside down and it's corrupt. In the first place, guys that are making all of this money, why are you giving them loan? In the first place, you can't force anybody to take a loan. That's the first thing. But let's just say if you're giving them loan, whether it's a block, whether it's the entire area to furnish their homes, and if it was to furnish the offices of these congressmen, isn't there a process? Isn't this thing done through like GSA or something? Isn't there a process? Do you go ahead and hand out checks to them or voucher to them? Where did it come from? Who handed it out? Did it come from the executive mansion? Did it come from presidential affair? So whatever way you look at this is just corruption. And like Mr. Murray just said, that the Lebanese guy did something for him and trying to pay them back. And so which furniture in Liberia is going to be $5,000 right now. So they're overpricing things and they're just moving money. And to what when I look at not to go into the budget, but we are talking about this because we're talking about presidential affairs. What these guys really do that they need like $10 million, $10 million. What really goes on there? Why do they need this? For what? For salaries? For what? So you can see if you look at the budget, they move money into places where it's too vague that you can't see, you don't have to see something tangible. And then they can explain it away. So it's corruption. Whether it's voucher, whatever it is, it cannot be a loan. It's corruption.
Thank you. Dr. Booty, you usually delve into these things with some depth. Talk to me. Have you seen anything like this? And nobody knows what this is other than corruption.
Well, if the first part of the question say, have I seen anything like this? I remember when Charles Taylor became president, he bought all these Jeeps for every member of the House of Representatives or the legislature in totality. So he gave everyone a car because he said he didn't want his legislators to be walking. Right. So that I've seen it before where a president, obviously we didn't ask Charles Taylor, and I'm not sure anyone was willing to go and ask Charles Taylor where he got that money from, and if whether you still be living to tell the story is something totally different. Look, I think everyone on the panel, apart from Mr. Morris, does not have a very clear understanding of why this has been done and how it is being done. What I would say is, if the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs decided to say, look, we've got some new legislators who come to power, and these guys, and I'm using guys as a uniform terminology, do not have the financial capacity to furnish their homes and kind of bring it up to standard, then whilst it's questionable for me, because at the end of the day, they're going to get paid. Why can't they just take their time and furnish their house as they get paid? But then I don't really see it as corruption. I see it basically as the Ministry of State saying to them that, look, we want to help you settle in as you're now at a different level to kind of make your homes quiet. But I think, like Mr. Tao said, if the furniture is going to be used for their legislative offices, then we've got the General Services Agency that is supposed to be doing that. So we shouldn't be giving vouchers. It is, look, at the end of the day, it's a quid pro quo, like Mr. Morris said. The government is definitely pointing people to that direction, whether it's favor, whether it's loan or whatever. They're saying, look, I think the crux of this, Mr. Morris touched on, is that, look, you've got this businessman who was a supporter. Now they're trying to scratch his back. And I think that part of it, the fact that you can only go to one store, the fact that only one person is going to benefit from it financially, that is the issue for me personally. But I think the aspect of whether the Ministry of State is trying to help some lawmakers, even if they did it for their own group of people, then I don't see that being corrupt. I just see the crux for me is that aspect of only one business, that monopoly, that the said business.
Listen, Miss. 1 minute here, Dr. Booty. I am greatly disappointed in your.
I agree with him somewhat, and I will elaborate when I get a chance.
We sat here and say there are laws on the books for PPCC purchasing. We got people who got a process. If you're going to purchase, why you go through the laws are written, and then we have GSA, who is the purchasing arm of the government. We have all of these things set, and the government that came in to be a rule of law government is saying, Dr. Booty is saying he has no problem with circumventing.
No, don't. Sorry, Mr. Nangbe, can I just respond quickly to clarify it before you
go right ahead, Doctor? Dig yourself in a little deeper.
I apologize. I think I'm not saying because again, when Mr. Morris explained this issue to us, Mr. Tao asked a question which was very salient. Is it for their offices or is it for their homes? Now, if we say, because I don't think it would be for the offices. If they did it for the offices, then they have to give the money to all of the representatives and senators so that they could furnish their offices, right? But if they did it for their homes, which I'm suggesting, I'm assuming it is, then I can't see how that becomes corrupt or illegal. They don't have to go to GS because it's a private thing, it's a personal thing. Because the money they're going to pay it back. They're not keeping it. They're going to pay this thing back. The only problem I have here is the fact that you've got one person. What the due diligence was to select that person, we don't know, and that is where I have my issue. But it's a private takeaway that is going to be repaid.
Dr.
And
Booty,
I must agree with you on that degree.
Listen, Dr. Booty, American people say when you are in a hole, stop digging.
Mr. Gaiman, let me come in, please. Let me come in, please. Oh, Mr. Namu, okay.
I was going to say this. First of all, I don't understand why, if whatever they want us to believe it is, why they're not doing it through, say, the GSA. This came from the Ministry of State. Two, Yeke is not stupid. I'm getting indications here since we started this topic that Yeke is fully aware that this was not a loan to him. They made it seem like it was a loan, but in actual fact, he knows they're not going to pay this money back, and that's why he's calling it free money. So I will give it to Elvis because he seems to have it. But those are the questions that are being raised. One, why wasn't this done through GSA? And if this is a loan, where is the write-up? And I will indicate the Yeke signing the paper to indicate to him that this money will be taken from your pay. I don't believe there was. If there is, then let's see the paper trail.
Mr. Gaiman, let me respond, please.
Go ahead.
Look, in this country, right? And again, it's a little different, but you will have organizations and companies that will have an exclusive partnership well, let's say for example, the NFL, you have Bose as the official headphones, provider, or the NBA, you have Kia as the official car brand of the NBA. Now, these are for profit organizations. This is not a governmental, this is not a government. So, in this regard, this is why I don't see anything wrong with it. Look, for those of us who have certain credit score, you get certain, offers. So people will send you a offer for $10,000 credit line, right? You have the option to pick it up or not to pick it up. So, in my opinion, from the way I look at this, is this guy has an inside, relationship with this government, and he is offering a service, and he is voluntary, and then it's up to you to voluntarily accept this service and utilize it if you think you need it. But if you don't need it, nobody is, thrusting this upon you, unwillingly. So this is it. You have the option now to go up front and buy, these furnitures on credit, and we may leverage your salary later on. Maybe it could be $100 a month or $500 a month, whatever it is. You have to come to the, understanding on the terms of this, loan, and then you can take it up front if you want to. So just the offer itself, I don't think it's illegal.
Mr. Morris, there's
Yes.
no way you can explain. I'm coming to you, Mr. Tao. First of all, the people with the highest salary in the nation, legislators, for
Right.
you to tell me that the man that makes like the CEO in a company that makes the highest, you are not awarding this, whatever it is you are talking about, to the civil servant, the guy who's making $100 a month, $75 a month. You are not giving this to them, but you are using the governmental office to co-sign, to guarantee that this money going to be paid. Mr. Tao,
Yeah, it's collateral. If they have a job that's going to pay them for 6 years guaranteed, that's a good collateral, and you're going to get your money back.
There is no way you can use the governmental office to co-sign for people. Go ahead, Mr. Tao.
Look at what happened, Mr. Morris and Mr. Boot. We sit here every Sunday, Friday, and Wednesday, whatever, and we frown upon corruption, and we dissect corruption, and we have a completely corrupt stuff unfolding right now. The explanation that you gave about NPFL or NFL or NBA or whatever, it doesn't even really apply, because these are private entities and they have a completely different structure on how things are done. In the first place, who gave the presidential affair the authority that they now loan organizers? That's the first thing. And we say we don't see anything wrong with this. Is state money. There is a whole process set up. So if this was going to happen, it's supposed to happen. Yes. This presidential affair cannot set up and start handing out voucher.
No.
To somebody.
It's
It can't
not
work
state
that
money.
way.
It's not state money. I don't know where you're getting that idea.
It is state money.
No, the money that's going to be paid is coming from their salary. That's their personal salary.
No, Elvis.
listen.
No, Yeke is a lot of things, but he's not stupid. Yeke
No,
will know free money when he sees free money, and he will know a loan when he sees a loan.
Yeah,
Yeke is under the impression that this is free money and that he's not going to pay back. I'm sorry.
No, that's because that's the Liberian man's mentality. They borrow money and they have no intentions of paying it back because they have a high position.
Mr. Morris,
That's what it
Mr.
is.
Morris,
But
Why
normally
can't-
you should pay your debts. If you borrow money, you should pay your debt as an outstanding citizen.
Mr. Morris,
Let me
Mr.
Mr. Tao
Morris,
then.
Mr. Morris, please go ahead, Mr. Tao, finish.
Yeah. It doesn't matter whether they say somebody said they will pay back. The process doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The process doesn't guarantee anything. If there was something called an LPA, it is through that process. Whoever think that they need furniture and they're going to guarantee their salary, because they already have salary, right? That's going to be paid to them. So they're supposed to apply either through the GSA or directly to that man or through any institution that is set up. It should not be the executive that is trying to collect this voucher, send it to them, or co-sign on their behalf. It can't be that way. Look, man, we shouldn't sit here, point out this stuff, because these are the same thing that we are suffering. They go ahead and they take content development money, hand it to these guys. It's the same kind of stuff. They're supposed to go ahead and apply themselves. If you think that you need it, you apply, whether it's a loan application. They're saying it's something that if you want to take it, then you take it. If you don't want to, then you do. Where is a guarantee in any way that
Look, when you go to the store to take the
where is the agreement? Let them show us an agreement that all of the lawmakers that we handed this voucher to, they have signed here. In the first place, the whole process is wrong. No Ministry of State. That's a whole. They have a whole different area. They're not loan guarantor. They're not guaranteeing any loan. They're not honoring signing for anything.
No, you guys are conflicting this.
No,
You're conflicting it. No, hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Let me clear. Let me clear. 30 seconds, Mr. Gaiman, please. Please. This is a conversation.
Mr. Morris, you cannot clarify anything if you don't have any written document that you can share with us.
No, because we have to use our mind. We can't just be against this government because we're city supporters. We have to use our minds. What's going on when you go redeem the voucher? That's when you have an agreement. You don't have agreement before.
That's not how it works.
You are speculating.
You are speculating too because you assume that the government took this loan on behalf of these people.
More than that, Jerome, this money is not being given in a vacuum. What's his name? Yeke had indicated that this is an attempt to build a groundswell to remove Fonati Kofa. This is how he was given this money. So let's not get lost in the conversation.
Yeah, that may be. There may be an ulterior motive. I agree with that. But we can't say that just on the face of it is illegal. We can't say that.
Just the way we are talking about the International War Crime Court, our Constitution is very clear. There are precedents and there are laws. There is no authorized body to establish a court in the republic other than the legislature and the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court. Anybody else who talks about that, it is in vain unless you augment and amend the Liberian Constitution. So this thing they're talking about, we know we'll come back to that later on. But I'm telling you, when President Talbot initiated the LPA program, it was geared towards the Irish civil servant, poor folks, to access credit and be paid. And there was a process and procedure and agency through which people went to do this.
Of course.
It was not meant for the highest paid. If you talk about legislators that are making the highest amount of money, we talk about what, $9-10 million set aside for them. And you are not talking about the janitors that are cleaning the toilets and keeping the building clean, that are making $45 to $100 a month. You are not according them and affording them the opportunity to get furniture, to get something from the store.
Mr. Gaiman, people living in poverty don't get loans offered. You know that in this country. You have to have the means of paying it in order to get loans offered.
To determine who gets loan. That's not a government place.
And participation is voluntary. It's optional. You didn't just.
That's what I'm saying. It's optional. It's not. Nobody is forcing them to take it. If you take it, then you burden yourself with the debt. Nobody is forcing them to take it.
Mr. Morris, if it was optional, it would have been public, and then they would say, Dr. Booty, Mr. Taiwo, Mr. Nambe, anybody can apply, and you qualify, you get it.
No, there are things that are offered that's for exclusive people, like the American Express Black Card. It's optional, you can take it, but it's for only a small class of people.
Mr. Morris, you are talking about private sector and the government sector here. In fact, if the program was established, Mr. Booty, like they do here, your qualification will determine how much you get. They don't tell you, say, you get $4,500, you can use it as you choose. You can apply. If your credit score say you are qualified for $500, $1,000, $2,000, that would be your limit. Nobody tells you that.
Sometimes you don't apply. Sometimes people solicit. People solicit you online with credit card offers and you don't even apply for it. Then you decide, okay, this looks good, I'm going to apply. The APR is decent, I'm going to apply for it. We know how those things work.
Let me say something quickly. I think my position is it might morally look a bit stinky, right? Morally, right? But it's not illegal. As far as I see it, I don't see any illegality or corruption in it. It's immoral. You can say that oh well, these guys already make, and I kind of hinted to that in my statement that I made earlier. In the fact that they make all that money, they should go and do their own arrangements and things like that. It would be nice, like you say, Mr. Gaiman, that they do these for people at the lower scale who cannot normally get credit on their own volition, right? But I think, to be honest, it might seem immoral, but I can't see any illegal thing here, because at the end of the day, the store has vouchers, right? So we're giving 4,500 pounds dollars vouchers to people so that they can come and take things from our store, and then we'll leverage that against their salary. Someone at the Ministry of State calls a group of lawmakers and say, "Hey, look, there's this nice option here. Do you want to take it?" And these guys have gone and taken it. There is no illegality again, and that's why I think when Mr. Morris spoke, what I gather from what he said, this is for their private use. I cannot see. Look, at the end of the day, this government has made a lot of missteps, right? I cannot see them circumventing GSA to give them money to go and furnish their offices. Any lawmaker that does that, furnish your office and then pay for it yourself, I don't think our lawmakers are that stupid anyway. These guys are corrupt. They want to steal money as it is. They want their envelopes and stuff. So why would they go take furniture to furnish their office that government's supposed to be doing and then pay for it? So automatically it came to my mind that this is for their private homes, right? And at the end of the day, they're paying the money back. As far as, again, the way Mr. Morris explained it, they're going to pay this money back. In fact, of the arrangement, you can disagree with the arrangement, you can disagree with who did the introduction, but it's not corrupt in my opinion, because at the end of the day, they're paying the money back, and the store is the one that is offering the voucher, not the Ministry of State.
Listen, either way, what we say in America, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It is a duck. The United States, the Republic of Liberia has a procurement department. They have a policy and procedure how monies are expended. The government, it is not into the business of being a guarantor of loan for anybody.
They didn't guarantee this loan, Mr. Gaiman.
The previous government, you saw the central bank governor.
What guarantees the loan is their salaries, not the government.
Excuse me. Mr. Bill Jones, governor of the bank, decided that he was going to put forth a loan scheme for market women without going through the process. And the president said that was circumventing the system. It was illegal, and he was fired, basically fired, removed from office. The president of the governor of the central bank cannot, on his own volition, decide to launch a money scheme, a loan program outside of the government system. Mr. Nangbe, I think you might have listened, you might have heard what Bill Jones did when he came up with this elaborate scheme that all the market women in the country will have access to loan, and he guarantees it. And the president said, no, this is not our policy. This is not a regulation. That this is circumventing the law. Mr. Nangbe, I think you may have remember that.
Yeah, I think Dr. Jones, if I'm not mistaken, was held responsible for this money because the scheme, as well intended as it was, but it was not approved by through the proper channels. And my concern here, to Dr. Bodhi's point is, I don't want to believe that this is, I don't think it's a corrupt act, but I think the problem I'm having with it is the manner in which it was done. The Ministry of State cannot be the one sanctioning this. I think there are other channels of government that can do this. And so once it's coming from the national, then it becomes questionable because this president is out for, probity and auditing every institution. How can he do this? Because this is something that could be done through the GSA if it is a government sanction program. That, for me, that is my concern. Why would the Ministry of State do that if it's not for some pecuniary, some other reason, underlying ulterior reason? And I still think this is it. From what Yeke is saying, he believes that they've been recruited to build up the groundswell to remove COFA. That's why he believed this money was given to him. And he doesn't believe this is a loan. Let me say that again. He does not believe this is a loan. He believes this is given to him under the guise of a loan, but they're not going to pay for it. That's what he's arguing.
And guess what? If you give me the choice to believe Elvis Morris, who is using his opinion and his mind,
Hey, I get called about who is now the arbiter of truth.
Yeke Koluba, who has the voucher, who is in the house, I will take Yeke Koluba anything.
Okay, Mr.
Mr.
Gabriel.
Morris have not produced any, and you know Mr. Morris
You,
has not
have you
made.
seen a picture of the voucher?
Listen,
Have you seen what it says on there on the memo?
listen. That Mr. Yeke Koluba shows something. You have not shown anything besides what you say you read.
I've seen the picture of the voucher, and it says
No,
right there that this one will be repaid with their salary.
You say you are giving us information that you have. Do you have it in writing somewhere that you say you think it is legal because NFL does it? But let's move to the next topic here. I'm gonna throw you a lifeline, Dr. Booty and Morris. You guys are drowning and you need a lifeline. So let me change the topic. We'll come back to that later. Number 2 here, former Minister David Fahad, my own bastard brother. He himself might be like 200 years old. He said he can barely see and walk. He said,
God.
David Fahad said he vowed to slaughter those opposing war crime court.
Is that Muna Fahad father or a different Fahad?
That's the same Fahad. That's her father, I want to believe, but I'm not sure. These are folks from our neck of the wood in Grand Bassa County. This man has worked in basically every government since I've been alive, from Talbot Town to Doe to Taylor to everybody. And now here he is. These are the folks who benefited from the war. These are beneficiaries of the war. But now that they are not in the picture, they are trying to, I like the word he used, he's not going to legally force them, but he's going to slaughter them, Mr. Nambe.
I saw the report and I was kind of confused by it, and then I dug a little deeper and I realized Mr. Fahad, I think in 2022, was dragged to court by some Margaret lady who I think is alleging that he did damage to electronic equipment to the tune of about $75,000. Is this gentleman trying to, have this kid tossed? I don't know. I also know that he was appointed recently, if I'm not mistaken, by the president to some board as well. So all these people, Jerome, my brother, they know how to grab Dr. Barker, Ambassador Barker's attention. They get on radio and make all these outrageous, comments and in support of this current government. And the next thing you know, they are in government. So I don't really know what Mr. Fahad is thinking when he says this, other than the fact that he must be mad at the immediate past government and anything that he believes will obstruct what he believes to be whatever they deserve. I think is something he's going to rail against. I just can't justify any other reason for that kind of outrageous comment that he's made. First of all, is he an ex-combatant? How does he? Can
we take a 200-year-old man like Mr. Gimme say serious that he's gonna slaughter anybody?
So this man was finance minister under Samuel Doe. He himself needs to come to us and account to us what he and Doe did during their time in government. So I think there's a reckless statement. It's one of those reckless statements again that people continue to make in recent past, and I doubt that this government is going to even ask him any questions.
Well, Mr. Otawo, this is David Fahad that have been in government, you name it, time in and out. He is so old. His buddy, another octogenarian, white guy, appointed him to a board. Recently, he made noise, and Joseph Boakai is bringing back. I mean, he's going way back. We talk about this man served with Joseph Boakai in the Doe era, and they have been in successive interim government, and you name it, they've been around. He ran for president himself. The Liberia people rejected him, and now here he is. He wound up back in government. And he is saying he will slaughter Mr. Tao, your bastard brother.
Yeah, this is the issue, right? We saw the same thing with guys like Emmanuel Shaw, that he ended up with OnPoint for 6 years, right? And this is where I keep telling you guys that this democracy here, this discussion we should actually try to critique the democracy that it gave us and all of its elements. It's a corrupt system. It's a business. People invest in it. For guys like Fahad to show up at this later date in some government on some board, what is he really able to offer? What is it that he can really offer? So the way I see it is these are the guys who are sponsors. These are guys who apparently in the so-called international corridors of power or in connection, they're able to speak to people, personal, business people, groups, families. They're able to raise some money, put it here, and then they place them somewhere. This is why I have a lot of problem with all these so-called boards and all these so-called or different agencies, right? Because these things are just put to balloon the government so that people can get paid. But like Mr. Nangwe just said, Koji gave a speech and he made a statement. And everybody said that she should skin him alive. And I believe that they should question him. But Fahad is making a statement that he will slaughter people, Liberian people. Where is the outcry? That is threat also to the security of the nation. Well, as you guys have said, here he made this statement and he's already placed on some board in the very government. So tell me, is this a government that will follow rule of law? They say only when so-called opposition, somebody that you don't like speak, then everybody scream and shout that crucify him. But then when somebody that was your supporter in your financial speak, and then there is no problem. So we should all call for her to show up for them to question him. Please stop saying a 200-year-old man, whatever, we should take him seriously. These guys stole a lot of money from the Dole era. They have connection. They have everything. War, you know how war is defined? Old men talking, young men dying. War has always been put together by old men. So we should take that seriously. And I think the government, we should push and also pressure the government to call him in so that they can question him for him to clarify himself. What did he mean? Does he have any rebel group sitting in Ivory Coast or somewhere in the Bele Fana forest, somewhere that he's depending on for them to do something? No. We should go that far because we're going to go that far with Koji or with anybody else that speak, anybody that make a threatening remark that could threaten the peace and stability of the country. They should also be questioned. They should also be brought in for questioning. We should take it seriously.
Okay, can I respond to him, Mr. Gamer?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. There's something called credible threats. It's you assess the threat level if it's credible or not. And from my vantage point, I don't think it's going to be a credible threat from this old gentleman. And let me say this: old people have mouths, they have stomach, they need to eat as well. But what he brings, Mr. Tawo, you're asking the question: what does he bring to the board? This guy was a former finance minister. He's a financial expert. An old person don't have to go out there and do the day-to-day work, but from their expertise and from their knowledge, from their tribal knowledge of being a financial expert or financial engineer, he can help these boards to balance their books and to help with the finances in that agency, whatever agency they place him on the board of. So yes, old people also have the means. Like take somebody like Alex Coleman, for example, who was a executive at Coca-Cola. He's quote unquote retired now, but he's on many boards. Why? Because he has the expertise, he has many years of service, he understands, he has a depth knowledge of how corporation work. So they brought him in for his expertise. And this gentleman is an expert in the financial sector, and they're bringing him on that board for his expertise. So he deserves to work. He's just a board member who can hold people accountable if they're doing the wrong thing because he's been there, he's done that, he knows how the process should work. But I don't think his threat is credible. I think maybe, like he said, he spoke out of anger. But again, let's be fair and balanced. We shouldn't just be against everything because these people serve in past government. When we get the economic crime score, we can charge him for whatever economic crime we suspect him of perpetrating against the state. But in absence of that, he's allowed to work. Once he's not dead and he has the energy to sit on the board and give advice and get paid for his time and his expertise, definitely nothing wrong with that. I'll leave it there.
Mr. Nambe.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and you're calling me as well. How do you assess this threat level to be of no consequence, Elvis?
Well, you have to assess that the person have the physical, the economic ability to carry out the threat.
Right.
This guy, as far as I know, he doesn't have the physical ability to carry out the threat. Like people say, he doesn't have any militia to carry out any kind of threat to murder anybody. So it would be a not a credible threat in my assessment. But again,
Hey,
maybe you want to talk to a security person.
you don't think he has a financial wherewithal to sponsor something like that? He was finance minister under Samuel Doe.
Oh yeah, librarian man money can last for 30 years in Liberia,
You
baby.
see, this is not how you assess threat.
Anyway,
Okay.
look,
You said,
look,
you said, Murray, you said if the person has the ability, but before you get to that,
Yeah.
we have reached our 1 hour mark and we need to stand up and stretch. So let me play a little jingle while we stretch.
Hello
Let
and
me
welcome
let
to
me get to
Focus
respond when
on
we come back.
Liberia. For education, information, culture, entertainment, and overall wide variety of programs, tune in to Focus on Liberia, the best in Liberian diaspora television. We are focused on Liberia, from Kwatawi Falls to the Blue Lake of Bombay, from the Bella Forest in Bapulu to the Atlantic coastline in Buchanan, from Lake Piso in Cape Mount to the Putu and Tiempo mountain ranges of Ground Jide, from River Noah in Grand Cru County to Foya in Lofa.
Our country, sweet Mandela, our country, that God gave all this country. Fellow Liberian, that God gave all this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country, Liberia, Liberia, God gave all this country.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully you have stretched your legs. We don't want any blood clot here. We want you here as long as you can. Dr. Booty, take a crack at this. I'm from Grand Bassa County. I'm quite familiar with the Fahad brothers and the family. Usually in these United States, when you make these kinds of statements, a man who was finance minister, who traveled around the world, who negotiated for the country, who ran for president, who has all the connections around the world, if he says something of this magnitude, we should take it seriously. There should be no doubt, no stone should be left unturned. If somebody makes that kind of statement against you, me, or anybody else, who will say the War and Economic Crime Court should be looked at very closely. He said those who are on that side of the aisle would be slaughtered. In Liberia, we usually say, you don't have to slaughter anybody, but those who are willing and ready to take out these kind of threats, they are the ones that will carry out those kinds of acts. David Fahad himself may not be able to do it, but those who are saying, you go against me, you are going against the state and all of these. So this is something that we should take seriously.
Well, yeah, there's a few points I want to make, and then I'll disagree with my brother, Mr. Morris. I think first of all, words are very important. Obviously, I don't need to tell you, gentlemen on the panel, you live in the United States. You know what your former president said on January 6, 2021. And you know what resulted from him saying, let's go back and claim our country. He didn't have to go there. People listen. Mr. Fahad has his following. Even if it's just one idiot that will go out and try to act on what he has said, that's one idiot too many, right? So we need to take it very seriously. Now, if we say that he's 10,000 years old and him and President Boakai are of the same age, if we believe, and this is where I want to disagree with Mr. Morris, if we believe that President Boakai is strong enough physically to lead the country, or if we believe, like Mr. Morris said, well, Mr. Fahad should be allowed to work. Well, if we think he has the physical ability and the intellectual inclination to be able to sit on a board and help that board succeed or help that institution succeed, then obviously when he makes a threat, we have to take it seriously. Because at the end of the day, unless he's got dementia or something like that and he doesn't know what he's saying, as long as his faculties are in place and he's physically strong enough to work, right? You can't say this man is strong enough to work, but he's not strong enough to kill people, right? That those two things cannot be the same, Either you're not strong and that's not strong for anything, or you're strong enough and you're strong for everything. So I disagree that we should. And just to point out, I remember when Chief Cyril Allen said something during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf regime. He was called into the police station by Gregory Coleman to come and answer questions. I remember when Manny Packard Demi said something about people picking up arms if things didn't go the way it's supposed to go. President George Weah's IG called him in to come and answer questions. I think when you make these kind of threats, especially given the atmosphere in the country, let's not forget that B Mountain happened only a few weeks ago. Let's not forget that the army wives just rioted and disturbed the peace to some extent. So the country is not very safe right now. So we don't need anyone coming up and saying things that would make the country more unstable. Let him go answer questions. Saying he's strong enough to work, he's strong enough to answer questions.
You guys are so draconian. You leave the old man, let me rest.
Let's juxtapose that on the comments from the former foreign minister. Obviously, this is probably one of those things that she was referencing when she said that ECOWAS needs to come in and help bolster our security. I think Dr. Budi is quite right. Whether it is from the opposition or within the government, if these kinds of reckless statements are made, and in the wake of this, he gets appointed into government. What does that say? So I think this government itself, and these are the mixed messages that they are sending that is making it, some of the things that are making it difficult for them,
I have a question for you guys, and for you, especially Mr. Gaiman. I have a question for you in the panel. The threats that Francis Yumali made about killing Falabu, and this threat, which one is more credible?
Wait, let me speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how you are trying to define your threat or credibility.
I don't get it.
Because you have nothing to gauge it by. Every threat must be looked into. It's only after it's looked into and questioned, and that is when you determine its credibility. You can't just
when a 5-year-old says she will kill you, and when an ex-rebel leader says he will kill you, which one is more credible?
But look at what it's not which one is credible, but which one carries more weight. The ex-rebel leader is even saying about an individual. This guy is talking about a group of people, but to a point that you made, that this man, he's an expert, that he worked in government all this time, that he deserved to be on the board. Let's go back and look at when they work in this government, what the outcome? They're working a bunch of failed governments.
Government don't fail by one person. There's a lot of people who are performing well.
Elvis.
No, we know that.
Yeah. So
there are good people who work in every government, but the system as a whole is rotten.
Let the man land. Go ahead, Mr. Tao.
Yeah. So you saying this? I know David Fahad. I know his son. He was at the academy at ELWA. I grew up in that area. We all were together, like all these guys, even Shaw, his son, and how you call this other guy? But many of these guys, Giavin Jones, all these people, we all grew up over there. Patrick Minicon, all these guys. So I know these people, so there is nothing personal. But what happened is this guy working a bunch of field government. What did they really bring to the table? We can't really point out anything. Oh, we know that they're working, it sounds of money, and we see Fahad name on it, and me and his son standing, we see, look at your dad's signature on this $5 bill. Those are the things. So we can't just say because they're working some government, but we can't really say that, this one carry more weight, this one is more credible. We are first assessing the situation, investigating. So that is what we are saying. So if Koji, and to look at what happened here, man, the people that have served as finance minister, serving many government, have connection, move in the international corridors where these wars are sponsored from. These wars don't come from Liberia, they don't come from Nigeria. These wars that we have in Liberia, they're international war. Okay, so if these guys are versed in that international corridor, and then for them to make this kind of threats, yes, it's even more credible if you want to put it that way.
And because of this man's standing in society, he has a constituency. He's not just talking as an old man, talking alone. The man he's serving the NDPR government. The NDPR is still around. He does have a constituency. And so I think what we're all saying here, except for you, Elvis, is that whichever side the threat comes from, They should be taken seriously, and the government should call them in and let them explain what they mean. It shouldn't just mean if it comes from the opposition, then it should be, it should be
Oh
given.
my God, from an old
Yeah,
guy.
Look, I'm in the opposition. I'm a CDC supporter, but we can't be ridiculous on things that we can easily see is not credible. Look, if you say that you're investigating, fine. It's not my money. They can go investigating, but they will quickly find that it's not a credible threat, right?
Well,
So somebody
uh,
saying something out of anger and somebody who actually has the propensity to do it or have the history of violence, you take that more seriously and you investigate it more rigorously. An
Mr.
old
Morris,
man who is
Mr.
maybe
Morris,
having some anger outburst, and you take it to be a national security threat. Are you serious?
Mr.
Mr. Morris,
Morris,
you can have your anger, but you can't have an outburst where you threaten the
Yeah, you
lives
can
of
say what he
people.
said was wrong, but the,
Mr.
the, the
Morris,
validity of the threat
Mr.
is what we're looking
Mr.
at.
Morris,
It's a threat to life.
Mr. Morris, let me tell you
Yeah,
something.
Mr.
I
Gill.
mean, you are new to politics, but they in the United States and Great Britain, everywhere else, in old politics, they get something called dog whistle. Okay, dog whistle is when you raising a dog, a hunting dog. You don't have to tell the dog go and get Nambe. All you gotta do is and the dog know exactly what you mean. He's going to attack. So you
But
got
that's
to
not a dog whistle. That was quite
listen,
clear. It wasn't a
listen,
whistle.
listen. Trump was out here. President Trump, what did he say to the Proud Boys? He said, "Stand back, okay? Stand back." Basically, they were waiting for the appropriate time when Virginia came. What did they say? You are not going to replace us. And they went on the attack. When the election came and he says the election was rigged, they are not against me, they are against you, and you need to go and do what you need to do. What happened? That's all it took.
Does Fahad has the same
So
influence as Trump?
yes,
No, he
the
doesn't.
man just ran for president. Do you know what it takes to run for president of a nation? You have to have the resources, you have to have the manpower, you have the organizational skills. He has all of those things. The Liberian
Oh, come
people
on.
rejected him.
maybe Elvis forgets. As of now, the majority of the army personnel we have in Liberia are of the AFL. The AFL is mostly of the NDPL. The NDPL is of David Fahad. And these AFL wives, you know what happened in February, right? The whole country was brought to a standstill. And so when these people are making these kind of remarks, like Jerome is saying, those are code words they are throwing out there, and they know exactly what they're doing. He should not be allowed to make such, especially a man of his age, should not be taken lightly if he makes such a reckless statement. I think he should be called in and let him explain himself. I don't think it is fair for you to sit there, Aries, and analyze which of the threats should be more credible than others. And just, I think it's unfair to us. If we're going to come here and call out Koji, I think we should be fair enough to call out for her if they're making such reckless statements.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those, well, not for those, there's only one person here that defending my pastor brother, Mr. Fahad, that Fahad has the experience, he has the know-how, and he has been into leadership. And then on the other hand, if these people, Liberian people have always said Liberia's problem is the diaspora. We who come from London, come from Great Britain, the United States. I was able to get a letter today before we go to the next topic. That is so embarrassing. I did not want to read it on the air, but I had to do it because Morris is telling me that these people are so educated
That's
and
not
so
what I said.
deep and have the
Experience.
expertise to run government and boards. Yet and still, we are running a failed state. And I will read it to you. The headline, this is from the university, one of the professors, a friend of mine, he's a professor at University of Florida, and he's from Kenya, and he was trying to tell me the big mouth that Liberia have, that we are the best, we are the lower little America with this and that. And the headline reads, Liberia, 5 counties pledge support toward ending open defecation within their respective counties. Open defecation. And the article reads, Ganta, Nima County on March 22nd. 5 counties have jointly agreed and signed a resolution to end open defecation in Liberia with the USAID sponsor project titled Countywide Sanitation Activity. The project, implemented by Population Services International, concerned worldwide and wherever they're great, prospective business development and support services aims to end open defecation.
Mr. Gavin, let me tackle that quick. Let me tackle it quick.
Listen, no, you're not typing nothing quick. I gotta read
No, I
it
got,
so
I
you
got.
can read it. I want you to get the gist of this thing.
We will be hearing a full bit
Yes.
after.
No, because you don't want to insisting that these people got so much experience. If they have the experience and the education, and we are
I would defend them. That's why you guys give me the chance to defend them.
104 years of our existence, and we are just signing a letter of agreement, collaboration that we will end defecating in the streets of Monrovia. Not only that, it says here, why the government agreed with the concept when the budget came, they allocated zero in that line item. Those who are talking about government cutting and reallocating, this is something that the government agreed to, that yes, it's time that we do this. Instead, they cut the money, increase government salaries, increase benefits, recurring expenses from 80% of the total budget to 93% of the budget. And we are talking about defecating. I just came from Liberia 2 weeks ago. I took some guests with me. From Monrovia to Buchanan, I had a lady and a female, and they had to stop. And they had to go in the bushes, and the lady said, well, why all these men just standing on the road? She said, oh, they are urinating. This is the 21st century Liberia that is 104 years old since 1822 to where we are.
Mr. Gimme?
Yes.
I wanted to respond quickly.
Mr. Elvis Murray, tell me where in Monroe you could defecate. Go ahead.
Look, it's as simple as this. You know, a nation is only the sum of its parts. So when we look at the entire nation as a whole and we try to pinpoint one or two people who we think didn't perform well while they're serving government, you have to look at the entire system and the totality of the population. In Liberia, one of the key reason we have open defecation is because we don't have regulations when it comes to building homes. In this country, it will be almost unheard of that a person will build a house without building indoor plumbing. A person can put up a zinc shack in Liberia without any indoor plumbing, and that would be considered a home. In America, it's unacceptable. So the key here is the law. If you don't have the regulation that every house, every dwelling should have indoor plumbing, you're going to have a lot of homes that don't have indoor plumbing, and people will be forced to go outside and defecate. So this is an issue of law. It's not just about civilization. If you don't have a toilet, what do you put in your house on your kitchen floor? You go outside and do it in the bush. So we all know this. So we can't blame Joseph Boyka. We can't blame anybody else. They should have passed a law and a regulatory agency to regulate how people build homes and what's required in the house when you build it. So that's the simple answer to this.
Let me jump in quickly, Mr. Morris.
Mr. Booty, I think we have to today. We have to either call a medical doctor to help my son Morris out, because what if you have all the experts that you are talking about, the Fahad, the this and that, you talk about common sensitive city planning codes, ordinances. These are things that experts, that educated people live in it where they know supposed to happen.
Yeah, the member finance minister, he was not a city planner.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in and disagree with both of you, because I think and I want you to tell this to your colleague at the University of Miami, that Kenya, there are places in Kenya where open defecation is at 88%, right? So I was in Kenya in 2014 conducting research there in West Pokot, and some of the responses that people were giving for open defecation, even though they had latrines built, was that going into a latrine is a taboo, right? So I've got the data. I'm happy to share the data with him. Oh yeah, I know it's shocking to you, Mr. Morris, but that's the information we got in our research. People responded. Actual people responded that they don't go into the latrine because it's a taboo for them. They rather defecate openly.
No,
Open
because it's
defecation.
dirty and you can get sick from the dirty latrine.
That's
That's
no,
not
no,
a,
no.
it's not a taboo by itself, but it's just dirty.
No,
Mr.
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 Morris, you're telling me I was there. I heard the people tell
In
me it's a
Kenya or in
taboo.
Liberia?
Dr. Booty,
No,
Dr. Booty,
I'm talking
let
about
me
the
push
Kenya.
that on that. What
Oh,
do
I'm
you
talking
Kenya.
about the Kenya response because that's where I did my research. But the thing is, no, quickly,
yeah,
I
but
just finished
Dr. Booty, let
open
compare and
defecation.
contrast. Let's
No,
compare
no,
and contrast. What is the
open
number of
defecation.
what's the number of society in Kenya that are defecating in the street in the capital? And compared to that, because we are talking about 98% of Liberians here defecating in public.
No, no,
98%.
there's no
What,
data to
what do
say
you mean?
98%.
98% of Liberians,
There is
Mr.
Yes,
no
Gibbons,
data
stop
to
that.
say
A lot
98%.
of people that got toilets in their homes,
Oh yeah,
they
there is
don't even
no
like to
data
go outside
to say
to
okay,
defecate. They like to use their home toilets.
Dr. Dr. Booty, tell me, just estimate. I know you don't have the number, but just guesstimate. In Monrovia, Nuclear Town, Point 4, the whole Liberia, tell me how many of those homes that you think have indoor plumbing? Just guess.
Well, I think again, if I'm estimating, I'll probably say what 60%, Mr. Morris. Would that be a
Six,
good number? I think 60%
That's a
60%.
of
reasonable
homes,
number.
Okay.
yeah,
When you're
will
talking
have
about
indoor
slums,
plumbing.
if you're talking about slums community, it's different. It's higher
Dr.
or
Booty,
less
It
likely to
has.
have indoor
now,
No,
plumbing.
now I know
Mr.
you're kidding, right? You're on
No,
national
no, no,
TV.
I'm not
You
kidding.
don't want to
Mr.
embarrass
Damon,
Liberia.
Mr. Damon, your question was the Republic of Liberia, right? I lived in
Yes,
Ganta before.
yes.
And
Uh-huh.
we had indoor plumbing, right? Most of the
Right.
houses of
Uh-huh.
my friends in Ganta had indoor plumbing. The school, the Ganta Methodist School has indoor plumbing. The hospital has
Oh,
indoor
Lord.
plumbing. The dormitories have. So there's a lot of properties in Ganta. They got hotels. I was in Ganta in January when I was in Liberia, right? And a friend of mine is building, making an extension to his hotel there. There's indoor plumbing all over the place. But when you
Exactly.
say, that's why I said in some parts of Kenya it's high. So if you go to slum, if you say, oh, tell me about Nuclear Town, I'll say, whoo, maybe you're talking 70, maybe 10% or 15% that will have, because obviously we know in those areas, like Mr. Morrisall put it so rightly, certain places it will be very difficult because at the end of the day, there are no implementation of the laws. Because I'm sure there are some regulations on the book. The laws are not being implemented. There is no enforcement of the law. So people just go ahead and build whatever they want to build, and then they go sit on top of the water and start doing things they're not supposed to be doing it, right? So at the end of
No,
the
tell us
day,
what that's what
that
we doing.
in the slums, yes. In the slums, yes, right? But I think when you take the entire republic, right, in the entire republic, I remember 2011, I was in Bonjama. I stayed in a house there with someone's house I stayed in. They had indoor plumbing, right?
Right.
It might not be the most flashy or the most modern, as we might want to put it, but there was indoor plumbing, right? So at the end of the day, I think, yes, if we take the country as a whole, look, it's a problem for all of Africa. That's why I wanted to say rural Africa, rural spaces in Africa, open defecation is a big deal because most of these people don't have the resources to build latrines. And so they just think it's cheap, easy, and cheap to just go and do your thing. So they just do that, even though it's causing a lot of illnesses.
Victor, then Dr.
Yeah,
Tao.
I think the public defecation problem is a very complex problem, right? And I understand what my colleagues are saying here, and I think in many ways they're all right. But yeah, I was in Monrovia in January as well. We all go to Monrovia. You get to Monrovia, you're shocked. First of all, um, in order to deal with a good restroom, the water must flow in the bathroom. Some of the bathrooms, you stop at a filling station, for instance. I can tell you there's one on the old road that you stop there. You feel I think it's better for you to ease yourself outside than in the
That's
bathroom.
why.
You go there, there's a drum there, you got to grab the cup and flush the toilet. Then you can't wash your hands. It's very difficult. But there are
Yeah.
other places that are doing the best. I mean, you go to Royal Grand, the bathroom there are spot on. You go to Poto, the bathroom there are spot on. You go to Calabar, some of the places they are doing the best. But Monrovia, prior to 1989, was built for about, I think, 350,000. Right now, the population, honestly, is about 1.7, almost 1.8 million people. So I mean, it is also overwhelming the social services system there. But notwithstanding, I think the newly designated managing director of water and sewer is out. You can't imagine how much money is owed to this entity. How do we expect them to deliver their services when so much is owed to them? So there has to be electricity to bring the water in the home. The water must be able to come and flow into the home. And then we can talk about flush toilets and all of that. Then also, of course, the government has now a responsibility. Once they provided the avenue for you to ease yourself indoors without the kind of problem that we're dealing with, then they have to enforce that, right? Here, I think it was on the last show, someone was talking. You go out outside, you drop a piece of paper, nobody's gonna tell you. You would pick it up because it's just unheard of for you to just go out and drop a piece of paper and walk away. But that's what we do in Monrovia. You unwrap whatever, you throw the paper away. You want to ease yourself, you stand by someone else's fence and you ease yourself. So it's complex, but it can be dealt with. And I think it was made worse by the most recent past mayor who got really political. Monrovia City Corporation, yes, it's a corporation, it's an entity by itself, but it is a very, very difficult and complex entity to run, let alone leaving it and being political. So I know the president appointed, that's another thing. I don't even know. I had to go and do a search to get the name of the mayor who was recently appointed. Will he be able to command the kind of leadership that is required to lead our people? Our people need to understand that, one, by dropping so much filth in the street, you are harming yourself because Montreal gets so much rain. We drop all this dirt when it rains. What happens to it? It is washed down in the puddles that we all walk through to go wherever. That's why so many people are sick all the time. So I don't know where to start from. Maybe we need to start with first delivering water into the homes. I don't know. Maybe we need to start by delivering electricity into the homes. I don't know. Maybe the Lord Mayor needs to start and get out. Mary Bro, when she was there, I think she made it what GSA was. I went to the bathroom there. So it can be done when you see some of these enclaves that are doing it. GSA, Poto, Calabash.
You ever use the Capitol building bathroom?
Listen, guys.
I was in the Capitol
Mr.
building bathroom. I don't believe they have water in there.
Mr. Nambe,
They say it's disgusting.
listen,
Nobody wants to use it, and it smells
Mr.
so
Nambe,
bad.
I
So
just
the bottom line is, Jerome, right now we need smart administration. To do a lot with less. That is
well,
our problem. What we have available to us is so minimum, but you need smart and creative administrators to help us solve the problem that we're dealing with.
great. So,
Thank you.
Dr. Tawo, Mr. Tawo, these people are defeating their own argument. They say it can be done, it can be done, it can be this and that. When we talk about city planning, these people from the diaspora that talk about the intelligence, the know-how, the regulatory experience that they are coming with, and they will bring the best and the brightest. And then I'm looking at a United Nations report here. The 10 worst countries with latrine issue. Liberia, Congo, South Sudan. I mean, this is what we are talking about. We're talking about the World Book. That's it from the United States and the world people here. Okay. Now when we're talking about latrine, we are not counting hotels and schools because these are people who are business people. We are talking about the Irish home. If the Irish Liberian have access to this, go ahead, Mr. Tao.
Okay. So look at what happened here. I think I spoke on this platform a couple of times, and I mentioned this. The problem that Liberia have, it is the group from America. We have to be honest about this. The group from America, they come in, they say they're very smart, but they come with sophisticated corruption. They didn't say they're very ineffective. For the last 18 years, we witnessed the group from America oversaw 2 failed government or administrations. I was in Liberia on an Ellen. I went to almost every ministry, every agency, every little board. Everybody there was from the US. I went to banks, ITC or IB, IB as they call it now, to GT, to Access. Everybody in that country, any critical area, they come from America because they claim they have superior education and they're Western, they're civilized. But they all get there and they do nothing, and they're really worse. So this is what Jerome is talking about. So this stuff come back from the so-called free slaves that went. These people are very mean. They look at how they settled Liberia. You only that small single area that is still, that's the only place you see streets paved in blocks and roads. That's it. So this is what we have here. Okay, we trying to sit here and blame the people, the ordinary people. But tell me, in the same Monrovia, I know people that live in a whole bunch of those houses. The sewer system doesn't work. If you use that bathroom, you try to flush it, it has a backflow. So what
this is getting disgusting now. I don't want to do about it anymore.
So what they need to do in that country is this. Decentralization is one of the things that need to happen. If you are not able to do anything unless you are in Monrovia, everybody will move to Monrovia. If you cannot be anybody, I have one of my little cousin that is in her nursing school and she want to do affiliation. They left Monrovia. They're in Grand Cru. It took them 3 days. I asked her, I said, Grand Cru, I said, since you you see there is no mosquito. She said, oh no, uncle, there is no mosquito here. I said, okay, maybe you should try to. She said, no, I can't stay here. You can't even get road to come here. How do you even get back? There is no light here. There is nothing. There is nothing here. So here, these are nurses that are graduating. Places like Grand Cru and these places need people, right? But everything happened in Monrovia. So they will all come and power on top of each other in Monrovia. So this is where we are. So this whole sanitation issue, even in the US here, if you have everybody moving into one area at one time aggressively, social services will break down. So that is why they decentralize a lot of the places. But why aren't they able to decentralize? Is it just that difficult? Look at even Buchanan, that have a whole road going in there. You go to Buchanan, the whole place is poor. Because why? Everything that's supposed to happen, Buchanan, Monrovia must sanction it. The port, this one, that one. So things need to be decentralized. And light, utilities and everything to be evenly distributed, and people will go. I can leave now and go live behind lock. I have my farm there. But how can I go there? If I want to go and get a piece of paper, I have to start driving 200, 300 miles to get to Monrovia. I can just come to Buchanan or come to Lock for me to get to an office.
Great.
So
Dr.
these are the
Mr. Gamer.
Real quick. Dr. Booty. Listen, Dr. Booty.
No, you spoke before. You spoke after I spoke, so it gotta come back to me before you, my man.
Let me do this here. Dr. Booty, we are talking about a very uncomfortable topic that nobody wants to talk about because it's not glamorous. But these are the conversations that we need to have. In developed countries, before you build a house, you got to carry your plan. They got to look at it. They got to approve it. You take it to court, Department of Code Enforcement, and look at all the regulatory system, look at this stuff, including your plumbing, your electricity. All of these things have to be approved. And then it is enforced. Back to our Morris here, with all the expertise, all the PhDs, the diaspora. We're talking about 200 years here. And here today, the House of Representatives, I was there 2 weeks ago. There is no plumbing or very little. I went to Benson Street. I went to a restaurant to eat. I went to ask, do you have restroom? They told me, no, you have to go next door. We talk about downtown Monrovia. Dr. Booty, this is serious stuff.
No, it is serious. I agree with both Mr. Nangbe and Mr. Tao. Mr. Nangbe on the point that, look, we need to do more, in terms of improving public services. I think I don't even know if any of the two previous governments ever kind of clean the sewer system that was built under Monrovia? You know, those big tunnels and
Nope.
whatever. Have they ever even cleaned it just so that at least the people then can flow, even though Mr. Morrison
Oh
is
my
not
man.
taking it.
Let me say, let me say more. Everyone trying to enjoy that Sunday afternoon. My
I'm using technical terms, Mr. Morris, so the people then can flow.
man.
You
Feces.
know,
You the one feces instead of poo poo. You want to be technical.
like I hope that technical terms are poo so the people then can flow. You know, look, I agree also with Mr. Tao, but I don't know the solution, you know, because I think, like, for those of us in the United Kingdom, right? One of the things that we've always said is, look, why does every government that comes to power look only to the United States, right? We have a lot of competent Liberians in the United Kingdom who should be given opportunities to go home and contribute to development of the state. How we deal with these individuals that come from the US, predominantly from the US, because I'm sure people come from other places as well, but predominantly from the US. And when they go there, they undermine all of the efforts by whomever is the leader to try and build a system that can serve everybody. That I think we need to set up a show special for that one. How can we help these people when they go to do not go and change overnight, right? But it's a combination. The last comment on there made a very good point, and I think I want to touch on the point of education. I think educating people on the causes of open defecation, you know, the fatal causes, you know, because people can get cholera, you know, because these things go into their drinking water system, especially in rural spaces. And I'll give you an example, Mr. Morris. I know you might not want to hear it, but I used to live down 14th Street towards the Swan side in the late 90s, early 2000s, before I left Liberia. And because of the little, we had this little, I don't know how you stream that was running past the house, and people upstream had their little shanties over the water, and they would just do their business inside there. When it rained, the house that we were in, because it's a swamp, you know, the house started to sink in the swamp. The people, technical stuff used to come into the house that we were
Okay,
living in.
thank you for saying the technical stuff.
I tried to help you, but the technical stuff used to come in. And this is, we're talking Cinco, right? 14th Street
Right.
in Cinco. This thing used to come in our home. There were times I used to sleep in the ceiling, right? So at the end of the day, but that was obviously, and these are things that people are having to live with right now. You know, like Mr. Mango talked about the rain. We hope that the people who are running the country now are going to try and be different, because
Right.
they need to address these issues practically. They need to address, there's no theoretical business here. You have to have practical. We have big tunnels under there. They've not been cleaned for years. We need to patch some of them because some of them are burst up and things. So let's go down there. Let's pay, if we need to get people that we can pay to go there and dig all the dirt out of the sewer system. Let's free the sewer system first and foremost. And then all these technical aspects will start to go in there. That would be the first step I would take. Clean that.
Right.
And then you start to put like what collection box things, bins on the road. And then
Lift
you start to
station.
talk to the police. You can find people, get them tickets. You see somebody drive something, you get a ticket right there. You arrest. Once you start arresting one or two people, people will stop doing these things.
Great.
You know,
Mr. Jimmy, my time is coming now.
Go ahead, real quick.
Jimmy,
Yeah. Quick. No, 1 second, Mr. Nabwe, please.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
Look,
go.
the thing about sanitation is learned, right? People know what's clean and what's unclean. Little kids are taught to wash their hands after they use the bathroom. They're taught not to throw litter on the floor in the street. And one of the things that you said was going to be my first point. This government, I will switch the focus now to this current government. They talk about sanitation. Look, one of the simplest things you can do: put money in the budget, buy a lot of these trash cans. Almost every street you walk down in this country, especially if it's in a commercial area, you're going to see trash can right on the side. You can put your little candy wrapper in there. You can put your coffee cup in there. It's important. But knowing the Liberian people, that probably won't be enough. So you have to have people who you're paying, who is going to be monitoring people who are dropping things on the floor, either telling them to pick it up, give them a warning, and tell them, put a big sign there: if you have garbage, put it here. Because most of our people are not taught this. They've grown up their entire adult lives without even understanding that you're not supposed to throw paper on the floor or candy wrapper on the floor. They don't even understand why not. why you're not supposed to do it. So the education of sanitizing our people in terms of sanitation is one of the key things that this government should have prioritized in their budget. Well, I don't know how much they allocated for sanitation, like they say it was going to be part of their arrest plan, but that's one of the things that they need to focus on. Getting people on the street who's going to collect, first of all, clean up the entire city, and in order to maintain that cleanup system, you have to have people on the street who are going to pull trash cans. It's simple. I mean, you put your candy wrapper in the trash can, you don't even think twice about it. But that's keeping you from dropping it on the floor and littering your environment. So I think that's key. But the whole plumbing issue, it has to do with code. You have to follow code to build any house in Liberia. It's too easy to build a house in Liberia. I mean, I hate to say it, and we think it's freedom and we think it's a good thing. But anybody can go buy a plot of land, go get the permit and just build a house. Whatever is in the house, nobody cares. If the house is structurally sound, if they have the right plumbing, nobody cares. So it's only up to you on how you build your house rather than going by the regulation or the code that the government sets. So I think that's the key. And Mr. Barker needs to look at that.
Victor, before we get to you, let me make a quick announcement here. Immediately following our show, we are having a special on, the month, I think the end of March to the beginning of April is Ramadan, right? So we are having a special show here that will be discussing the religious balance or Islam. It's going to be very fascinating for those of you who those of us who don't have that much knowledge on Islam. We're going to be discussing it. In fact, this week there was something very special that happened. And this is what I tell people who are devout in the religion, that if you rely on your scripture that were written maybe 10,000 years ago, a million years ago, and want to apply it to today, you are actually in error. There was a scientific breakthrough this week where a pig kidney was used to transplant into a body, and that person is doing very well. The question that my friend asked me was, well, if most religions, they don't eat pork. They don't put anything that has to do with pork in their body. So what happens to putting a pig kidney in your system?
That's haram. A Muslim will never allow it.
Well, that's what they say. The gentleman who was at the point of death, whose kidney was transplanted now, he's vibrant, he's doing well. We don't know whether he was Muslim or Arabic or whatever it was. All he needed was his life to be saved, and it was saved. So now can the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah explain for those who say they cannot put anything that has to do with pork in their body? How do they explain this? We'll get to that. I think Islam, the next one that's coming out will do that. But Victor, one minute. Those of us who are laborer, 1 minute. Those of us who are laborer, right? We say government have the responsibility to provide certain things in society, the basic necessities of life. Right. In the United States, when I went to get my house permit to build, the first thing they wanted to know was whoever was doing the building, whether they have public utilities. It was mandatory. That was roads, water, electricity, all of these things that require. Not only did they get a permit, but they follow through to make sure that every step there were inspection, that the codes were not violated. When the first slide was laid, they came and did structural instruction. When the wall check, they did all of that. So if Liberia, the Republic of Liberia, the government have not done the basic, which is providing water, electricity, and those things that have to do with public safety, how does the regular person, Dr. Namwe or Mr. Namwe, how do the regular person deal with this?
Well, first of all, let me say Ramadan Barak to my brothers and sisters who are celebrating. Answers vary. I was coming back to the City Hall thing before I come to your question, Jerome. I think we identify a lot of problems, and I wanted to make sure that we try to proffer some solutions as well. I like the input from Dr. Booty and Mr. Tao and even Mr. Maurice, that I think education is key to this. We need to start with educating our people on the problems posed by unhygienic living conditions. I think one of the things the government should really seriously think about is privatizing cleaning of Monrovia. I think this is too much for the government to handle. I think they should try to privatize this. I understand. I think it was during the time of Madam Johnson, so is Liberian, and there are Liberians back home as well as in the diaspora who really do have the means, and they can take up this problem, and will be surprised how much wonders they will do with it. I understand he had the idea of cleaning the city. He had trucks, he had porta potties, and this could really go a long way. Elvis talked about the trash cans, and I asked this question when I was in Monrovia. I was surprised. I was told that people go and steal the trash cans when they put them.
To do what with it? What are they gonna do with
They
it?
make it back.
Because
They
I
make it
asked,
back.
why do so now the question would be, do we take cement and make trash cans out of cement and put them down, or do we bolt them to the ground?
That's for what?
These are ideas that I think private citizens will quickly come up with, and they need to find a way to clean up the country. I think the government right now is in a position where it needs to remove itself from implementing all of these things. I think if they privatize it, I think it will go a long way to keep the city clean. And Jerome, I forgot your last question you asked me. So
That's Dr.
yeah,
Tao.
that old head now.
Yeah, let's move on to before you close up on this here. When we are talking about sanitation, I remember in the Ellen government, some representative met with me in Florida here, and I took them to the biggest sanitation company called Waste Pro, and they were to do an assessment on how waste management, how the landfills are built, and all of that. And they came to Florida here. We took them, they went to the landfill, and they showed them how it was done to build a minimum landfill in the Bombay area that were closer between the different counties. The estimate was $6 million to do the actual landfill where they can even capture the different gases and all of that. We talk about the separation of waste, metal, plastic, and all of that, that create a whole different industry. The LA government had only $300,000 in the Monroe City budget to take care of sanitation. The folks told them $300,000 will not even be enough to do the plan.
Right.
So this is what we are talking about. It is not about just talking. We're talking about these things cost money. So is the government ready to actually do what they are talking about instead of just picking up? If you even give someone the education to pick up dirt, where do you put the dirt? And where do they take the dirt? How do they take the dirt? You have certain issues where yesterday a friend of mine sent me a letter from some law firm, and the law firm address on their letterhead says Monroe Back Road, opposite Jote's house or opposite Jote
Congotown Back Road. That's my neighborhood. I literally live right there.
Congotown Back Road, opposite Jote's house. So you
I
tell
saw you
me,
over there one day.
how do you pick up?
Oh, you know that area? I grew up there.
How do you pick up garbage? You don't even have property identification
Yeah.
problem.
Opposite Jote House is Princess Galawater House.
Yeah.
Princess Galawater House right there. So
Let me speak to this, right?
Mr. Tower, you don't have property identification system. You don't know where houses are. You don't know where garbage are. You can't get there. You have garbage truck. Nobody. People build everywhere. I mean, I don't know how you do this.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. We can't really. It's difficult for you to really blame the people 100%. A lot of the responsibility lies on government, whether from the past on how the country was set up, right? Okay, I was in Monrovia and I traveled to a bunch of the major markets. The city, let's say for Pinsville, they have city police or whoever. They come around. Each table, each little market store, they pay a daily due, they pay a monthly due. In that daily due, because I sat there and I interacted with them. I went through red light, through all these different places, and they collect that money. It is for them to go ahead and pick up this trash, but you know that they never pick them up. So these are some of the stuff we talk. This is government. Okay, so these are some of the problems because that's part of sanitation. So it's not that our people are just all just dumb that they don't know what cleanliness means. It is that the infrastructure and the organizational structure that's supposed to allow them to function doesn't exist. So people are actually, most people are just trying to do the best that they can do. My greatest thing here is that they need to decentralize. My brother, it doesn't matter how much latrine or even they clean out the pipes. If they don't decentralize, it's not going to work. I got into Monroe for the first time after I left. It was 2012. I said there is no way any kind of public service can work in this particular city. It's too overcrowded.
Okay, so Mr. Tao, will you say we should build a new city, start from scratch?
Yes, that is actually past, is long overdue. We're supposed to designate an area. No. This is what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to designate an area, and even if we just start and then we try to really plan that area, lay that area out. Okay, you remember the Ellen government, right? The corruption played a major role in this. They wanted to remove the people from New Town because of the sea erosion in that place is bad. Okay, there is big land in the Omega area. There was money allocated in the budget, a lot of money for this stuff, so that they can go ahead and construct new area. Because what really affect if you remove New Town, if you remove Popo Beach and all these places, and you remove some areas in Lokitan so you can actually relocate people, this should be a national program, right? You can reduce the crowding, and you can reclaim most of those land and you can redevelop it. You can give it to developers, government can be part of it, right? What did they do in Labrador where the sun is 150 degrees? They went over there and built something wrong is what they built. Are they trying to kill somebody with? And what happened? They took the rest of the money and they ate it, and nothing came out of it. So this is what.
Hey, good Josh. We are credit. He built actual houses for people to live in. So credit to him for that.
We are running out of time here. Let's touch the last topic here. I know this is something that you guys are going to have a lot of fun on. Here we are, the UP government, the top UP propagandist in Mr. Eugene Fagon has been appointed director at LBS, and his deputy is some guy called D. Flo. I have never seen anything so clownish. Mr. I gotta start with you, Elvis, because I think D. Flo was from your home state of Minnesota, maybe.
Yeah, I had an interaction when he was on this platform that was quite fiery. So I remember him.
That's correct. So here we are, D. Flo and Eugene Fagon, both that have never managed anything, no, absolutely nothing about management, are in charge of LBS. Mr. Elvis, is this going to be a professional organization, or this is a propaganda machine?
Look, before I even start, I just want to send my sympathy to George Lobo. I'm sorry for what it did to him. After all the cussing he caused the people from the Southeast, after all the tabata he's feel on his platform, the people refused to get a man job, and he came back to Arizona empty-handed. So sorry, Josh, sorry. Let me say this. Look, somebody like Eugene Fagon would not be best utilized in an administrative position. He took that position while we're even understanding that his true talents cannot be utilized in that position. He's not an anchor that's going to go on the LBS and give news and give propaganda. He's behind the scenes managing, the entity. So his best asset, which is his mouth, is not going to be utilized at that, in that position. And as far as we understand, I don't know if any of his four associates in any kind of public management, but from what we've seen from the past, we've never seen him associated with any kind of managing any kind of agency or any kind of organization. So making him the managing director of LBS, I don't know if he's going to really perform. But what is D-Flow purpose as well? In the same vein, these guys are just loud mouth talking heads, similar to what we do on this platform. Or are you gonna go put us into a position where we have to manage maybe hundreds or thousands of people underneath us? I don't think so. Eugene Fagon is known for talking and acting like he's an insider and have all this information. Maybe he should have made information minister to come in and give news, or the press secretary to the president. He would be best utilizing those positions. So for me, I think it's a way for this corporation to fail, the Liberia Broadcasting Corporation to fail. And I think putting somebody like Eugene Fagon there, not that he's not capable of doing any service for this government, but he's not being best utilized in that position. I keep saying it. Well, when you talk about the education of D-Flow or his, pronunciation and enunciation of of English words, look, we're all Africans. People still have their accents. Depends how you grew up. Some people, it's hard for them to let go of the way they used to speak from their county. So I don't think it's anything to disparage him over, because people have accents and they can be very, very smart. But I don't think those two guys, what they're best known for is being managers of any kind of entity or any kind of agency. So I'll leave it there.
Dr. Booty,
Yeah, I think no, go ahead.
we are, when we talk about LBS, is it the mouthpiece, the propaganda mouthpiece of a government, or it should serve another purpose? And if so, are these folks ready and in a position to do so?
Mr. Morris, don't throw your camera down. I'm about to disagree with you quickly. I think when you said that none of us on here can be called upon to go and manage entities, I beg.
Don't take it so personal. We're just a prudent slip. Don't take it too personal. That's how we are using personally. I just mean that we do a lot of talking. We're just talking heads.
He's giving you a historical perspective based on actual happening.
No,
Go ahead.
You're saying that you just said, and I'm sure Mr. Nangwe and Mr. Tao heard you say it as well, that us on here, we talk and nobody should give us the platform to go and manage. Now, obviously, I don't want any job in Liberia, but I will speak for myself. I've managed people before, and I think if I was put in an entity to manage people, I would do okay. I'm not sure how well I'll do, but I think I'll do okay because I've got some experience of managing people. But to your point, Mr. Morris, I think, look, no, let me answer your question, Mr. Gaming, quickly, because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, because you're focusing on me, my man. I'm trying to make question. Leave me alone.
I think with you already. And I think the LBS, I will equate to the British Broadcasting System, right? So in the UK, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, we pay as citizens, we pay a fee. I pay like £137 every year to the upkeep of the BBC. So when you guys are listening to BBC services free of charge, it's because they're collecting my money. So your bill is not free, right? And what the BBC does is when there is a campaign or when there is elections, every political party in the UK has equal access to the BBC, right? Because it is a public broadcasting corporation. It's paid for by public money. So everyone has access to it, right? I don't believe, having listened to Mr. Vagon speak when he was angry with President Weir, former President Weir, and how he was so aggressive for the Unity Party, I don't think that he goes into LBS to be a neutral person who will serve the interests of the public, as in the people of the Republic of Liberia. I don't think he has it. I don't know Mr. D-Flow, so I'm not going to comment on him. But I don't think, based on the track record of Mr. Vagon, he will do that. And that is what the entity is supposed to do. It should be available and accessible to every member of the public, including opposition political parties. And I don't think he's capable of doing it.
Thank you. Hey guys, we got 10 minutes, so we're gonna limit it to a minute. Mr. Tao.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to this, somebody posted a comment here because I made a statement. I said that Liberia is messed up, and the group from America, the diaspora group, have a major part. They say, don't say that foolishness. Don't blame the diaspora group.
I agree with that person.
Yeah. The diaspora group is responsible. They oversee all these failed governments. They go there to draw high salaries in, paying their mortgage here. They have that wage bill that high. So we are seeing, where does Eugene Falcon come from? From the U.S. Where does D flow come from? From the US. Where are they? At this part, look what we are talking about. So this is what we are talking about. So tomorrow when LBS fail, then we say, oh, don't blame the diaspora group. So the problem we have in here is that there is two type of diaspora group. The ones that are qualified and in their field, right, as experts, and the ones that are not qualified at all, but they both arrive at the same end, at the same result. The ones that are qualified are corrupt. They are not honest. They have no allegiance to the country. They go there for cash cow. So this is what we're seeing. So Eugene Falcon, I don't take him seriously. This is the same guy that I saw when he was with George Weah, threatening to beat up journalists. Then the moment he got fired, then he's in opposition to George Weah. He has no value, no moral, nothing. So I don't take him seriously. So the Bouaka government is not ready. They are not serious.
Mr. Nambe, we have a choir here at the LBS that's supposed to be the information arm, education arm, dissemination information. Basically, from what we are seeing, it looks like it's a propaganda arm of the government.
Yeah, I really don't know Mr. Fagon's qualification, but I like to remind Elvis here that Fagon served in the government that he supported. So he does have governmental experience as a deputy minister of information. I believe that's the post he held. So him coming to LBS, I believe he's just coming with some experience. What I don't understand is, why we have Minister of Information and we have LBS. I don't understand that. I think the two are serving the same purpose. And also the point that have been made here, the fact that, A was a good attack dog for the opposition doesn't mean A is going to be a good administrator. I think Mr. Fagon's tenure at Information, there were lots of very unprofessional attitude conducts that he left in his wake. So I don't know if the government had the opportunity to review his function at the Minister of Information. Of course, he was one of their favorites because, he was very vocal against the CDC because, of course, of his frustration with the government. But I'm not sure how well he's going to perform. I think the judgment is out yet. Let's see what he does. I'm not in a position to pass judgment
But
yet.
Mr. Nambo, he's not going in a similar role. He's going as an administrator rather than somebody who is a mouthpiece for the government. That's why I think he won't work well in that position.
Oh, you'll be on the radio all the time.
He's going to be on radio. Besides that, LBS is the government arm, just like Dr. Budi said. It should be our BBC. So I don't know that he's going to be impartial at LBS. He's very partisan. I mean, he hasn't hidden that he's a UP he's a Bouaka supporter, through and through. So we have to see how he does that.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned after our show. You will be entertained, you will be educated, you will be informed about Islam. We talk about religion here. You're going to be highly educated on the topic, and it is very, very important that you stay tuned because there's a lot of questions that religion cannot answer. But yet and still, they want to make us to believe that what was written 2,000-3,000 years ago, like I was talking to somebody and I said, my father passed away in 1981. He never heard about cell phone, never heard about how do you call it, AI, never heard about internet, never heard about Wi-Fi. So how can you juxtapose the two? Jesus never had a cell phone. Jesus never had Wi-Fi. Muhammad never had Wi-Fi. So how do you juxtapose the two? These things, they are talking
about. What do I have to do with the people Mr. Gary? I don't understand.
Nobody wants to talk about these things. But I trust them, though. It is their job to justify these things. They will find a way to say, yeah, even though Muhammad never flew in the plane, but he envisioned that somebody was going to fly in the plane. In fact,
no, Muhammad flew on a donkey, on a winged donkey.
So they say people they went into heaven, they flew into heaven with no oxygen tank, no oxygen mask, they flew, but they will justify that. But stay tuned after our show. We're gonna have the now. Let's go to our closing. We got 1 minute. We got 6 minutes here. So we all
Mr. Gibman, is it a show right after this?
Yeah, right
No,
after
it's not right after. It's an hour. It'll be at 6 Eastern, 6
Eastern
Central
time.
Time.
Yeah,
Can I be on that
that's
show?
it.
That's
That
what
when
It's
that's
like,
gonna
no,
be.
no, 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 no. It's a imam and Mr. Jai. You know, is about the
About
Islamic
I did the
expert.
historical study on
yes,
religion.
well, wherever it is. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what it is. Now let's touch on this, Mr. Number. You got 1 minute here. Let's talk about the letter from Tom Wowoyu to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, where she said, level the city, we'll rebuild it. We were talking that we're gonna next week we're gonna have a whole show on this, but let's do a teaser here. Mr. Namwe, you were around, you heard that. We have the article. I'll send it to everybody. Your take on it for next week.
Thank you. Listen, Tom, what were you? May his soul, rest in peace. The letter he wrote to Ms. Johnson, and Sam Jackson. A lot of us may not, like some of the things he says, but he lived some of the experiences that he's discussing. Tom Waweyu was one time president of YOLA here, Liberian Association in America. So a good number of the guys who came together to form what is called the ACDL, Association for Constitutional Democracy in Liberia, the NPFL of Charles Taylor, they were all moving in the same circles. And so Tom Waweyu wrote a letter to Madame Sirleaf and reminding her of her role in the formation of the NPFL. And because Madame Sirleaf, I think, had come up to finally apologize during the 2005 elections campaign to the Liberian people, she had made a statement. I was in Monrovia then, and we couldn't understand when we used to listen to the BBC, to the effect that Monrovia, if Monrovia was proving too difficult to capture, Mr. Taylor and his people should go ahead and flatten Monrovia to the ground. It will be rebuilt.
In 3 days, he said.
Yeah, and that was a very fundamental statement that she made because a lot of us were living in Monrovia then, even though. So she apologized, but she did not apologize for the full statement. She altered the statement according to Mr. Waweyu. She said she meant to flatten the executive mansion, even at that. And so Mr. Waweyu wrote this letter. The short of the long story is Sam Jackson is saying that for instance, the War and Economics Crime Code that we're all talking about, when we talk about it, we talk about people like Prince Johnson. We talk about, people who seem to have been just the foot soldiers. What about the financiers of this incursion that left almost 300,000 people there? Nobody ever mentions Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I think this is the point that Sam Jackson is making. And so he's reminding those who will be, overseeing the setting up and the running of these processes to make sure that they reach deeper. They shouldn't just grab, Prince Johnson or Adolfo Dolo or whoever name is easily called. They should go back and make sure that the gurus, the people who bear the greatest responsibility, as it is stated in the TRC report, those are the people we should be focusing on as well.
Time, Mr. Number.
And this is the point that Tom Waweyu is trying to make here.
Okay, Dr. Booty, 1 minute.
Yeah, no, I'll do 30 seconds because I know we're supposed to be ending. Look, I think it's a great topic, and I think Mr. Nangwe's already laid the foundation. So I think we will be back here next Sunday. I'm sure I'll disagree with Mr. Morris on many occasions again, but
Of course.
today has been a great show as well.
He came on the show just for my business. I can tell you for the first day he came, he started making fuss with me. But I like it. I'll fuss it too.
Gentlemen, we got what? We got 2 minutes here. This is great. I sent the article to everybody. Let us read it, understand it, because when those of you who are talking about war and economic crime court, if you're from the Unity Party opposition at the time, you think it's only about the CDC folks that were in power. You want to go after them because you and them grew up, you had nothing, and all of a sudden they are wealthy, they're looking good, they got cars, they got homes, so you want to go after them. But what this article is saying, do you actually want to establish economic and war crime court? And if you do, we are giving you a landscape where you should begin. Like, you do not want to repeat what happened in 1980 when the folks said, let us delve into why we got to where we are And the so-called diaspora, that's the knowledge class, the elite class, decided our problem started from 1979. Amos Sawyer says, we will now start to investigate from 1979. And then the nation said, no, Dr. Sawyer, you are losing your mind. Our problem did not start in 1979. Our problem started maybe 1822 to 1847.
Yeah, give me that wrap it up. I don't want to encroach on the next show. Let wrap it up,
Okay,
please.
so this is where we are. So those of you who are talking about war and economic crime, this is a teaser. We will put this in the chat room. We'll put it on the page. You need to look at it. You need to delve into it. And maybe you will actually have the idea of why Economic and War Crime Corps will never come to Liberia.
I disagree, but that's for
thank
next
you
week.
very much for coming to our show. We will be here next week, same time. Dr. Booty, you will be here. Ms. Otawa will be here.
Stay tuned for the show next coming up. Don't leave.
For our show that is coming up. You want to be educated. Hopefully next time we're going to have an imam and we're going to have a rabbi. We're going to have a maybe a priest, so they can actually come out and dukes it out. Because I, as a sociologist, I have my
call President Weah. He's a rabbi.
Okay,
rabbi.
then we will call the rabbi. And we will do that. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, it is time for us to do our closing. We said
no closing. Let's just close out and just leave it at it.
With our music, as it is, we are all Liberian. Whether you like the War Crime Court or you don't like it, like my friend here, I do, and I know very well wouldn't happy. See you next Sunday as always.
All right, guys.
Liberia is our home. Liberia people.